Back with you here. We do have points on the board for the Rams. It is 7-3. Field goal was in there, and so as of right now, we are looking at the Seahawks up 7-3, and now laying 10.5 in this game. Total still sub 40 of 39.5. Cardinals a field goal. That's a 3-3 game with the Niners. San Francisco getting the ball back here late in the opening quarter, and Cardinals 4.5-point favorites on the live line. Another sub 40 total, 38.5. The Dolphins already up 3-0 in the red zone. I got to tell you, I know, Scott, you gave us your SGP off the top of the show and a believer in your Dolphins today. And I really, maybe I bit into the Aaron Rodgers is done after today. Where's he going to play next year? Nobody wants him. He's not going to sign somewhere to be a backup. This is the, Bill Bixby, throw the bag over your shoulder, start walking down the road, you're gone sort of day for Aaron Rodgers. I bought into the narrative. I thought the Jets were going to win this game, and I know they still could. As we sit here, it's still 3-0, maybe going to be 10-0 in a minute. Well, now it's 4th and goal at the 10, so probably going to be 6-0. Jets could win this game. That being said, it doesn't feel like I'm on the right side of this thing.
Yeah, well, I'm curious. Why would you think that? Because this is one of the stranger lines. Like, we've had some weird lines today, but for the most part, most make sense. Although the Tennessee one, I still don't quite get why they were favored. But why did you think? I mean, I didn't see anything. The Dolphins had a realistic shot. They're playing the same time Denver is. They didn't have to worry about anybody else. They win, Denver loses. I know it's the backup quarterback, but why did you think the Jets, any more faith in the Jets today?
Because like an idiot, I thought we'd get a representative performance out of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams turning back the clock on his way out the door. Really that simple. It's not that I, all of a sudden I believe in the Jets and I think they're good or that, they're trash. They're awful. They've been terrible the vast majority of the year, although they did start to play better once they got eliminated. And then last week happened when, as we know, we were on during that show and they got them, Rodgers benched himself. It was so ugly in that blowout to the Bills. But I thought they'd go out maybe on a high note, which they still could. This game is sitting at the very end of the first quarter. It's 6-0 Miami, but it doesn't feel like it. And if Denver goes out and blows doors against the Chiefs, as they are well on the way to doing, obviously the motivation kind of goes out the window for Miami outside of playing for pride because, you can't get into the playoffs with a win. You need some help in front of you. And I don't think the Broncos are going to blow this. And I'm sure they are acutely aware on the sidelines what is happening in that Broncos game. So, I don't know. At a certain point in time, I thought maybe they'd pack it in a little bit, but like I said,
maybe it could happen.
Probably not right, Joe. We'll see.
No, I would say you also they took them to overtime too early this year. Like that was one of the best Jets games. Win, lose, or draw. Aaron Rodgers played maybe his best game on the season, Joe.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And Adam, I don't think you can say like an idiot you had faith in Aaron Rodgers because if we said hands up right now, who had too much faith in Aaron Rodgers this season to get back to what we all thought, I bet every single person out here listening could put their hand up and say, okay, I had faith in him at least at one point in the season. And it's something that we've all expected, especially with him. This could be his last game. He doesn't want to go out, but he just hasn't got it this season. So you're not an idiot, Adam. I have been there. I wanted to get there today.
Joe.
And at the end of the day, I stayed off this game because he couldn't cost me any more money. But I want to see him win.
I mean, honestly,
right?
I will say this. I know it's not. I know it's not a human out there that is, working the odds and everything in terms of the live. Like it's an algorithm. It's a computer. But it feels like the computer agrees with me because it's a 6-0 game, and we're looking at the Jets getting 2.5 points at plus money. Like normally, I would a human probably would be sitting there and having Miami laying 5.5 points.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, and you look at Aaron Rodgers has already thrown an interception. So, he's, on his way to having a typical Aaron Rodgers game this year, which has not been good.
Right.
So it's not like he's thrown for 100 yards already and they moved the ball a little bit. But really, it's just A-Chain's already ran for 85 yards for the Dolphins. So I got one leg of my 4-leg parlay already in the bag. It's really not looking good. I bet there are more Dolphin fans. There's a lot of Dolphin fans here in New York. I bet there is just as many anyway that are rooting for Miami today at Giant Stadium than there are the New York Jet fans.
Sure.
I'm sure the Boo Birds would come out. And I don't know, is anyone like financially, he's not going to be with the Jets next year. The more and more you learn about his salary and the balloon payments and the cap hit, it would be stupid to bring him back. It's like a $40 million hit. It would be dumb. So, but is anyone else going to sign him to, a contract and give him another shot next season?
Who would?
I don't know.
Truly, like,
I don't know,
because he's not going to sign somewhere like he's not going to go be a backup. There's certain guys, and this is not a criticism of Aaron Rodgers. Even I criticize the guy plenty. This is not a criticism. Certain guys with what they've accomplished in their careers are like Aaron Rodgers and Marcus Mariota are not created equally. Aaron Rodgers is not at 40 years old going to go sign somewhere as a backup just to stay in the league for the love of the game. I'm not sure he even loves the game. He probably wishes he retired a few years ago versus the reality of what is going on right now. But if he was going to stay, it would have to be to start somewhere. I'm not saying the money is the end all be all, but he would have to start. And who out there wants to sign the Aaron Rodgers that we saw last year for 3 seconds before he got hurt for the entire season, or this year in the wake of that injury, who has looked like junk for 95% of the year?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I really only have two teams. All right, one is Pittsburgh, just because their current quarterback situation, they're all on 1-year contracts. But do they really want to go down that road again? I mean, they're doing it now with Russell Wilson, right? So, and if he can't perform in New York, I don't think he would really perform it in Pittsburgh. The other one, though, would be kind of funny, just because this is what Brett Favre did. Let's just say, guys, the Minnesota Vikings, and we brought this up a little bit yesterday.
There's no way.
Let's say the Vikings.
They got to choose between two guys as it is.
Hear me out. Sam Darnold's a free agent, right? He's going to get a 4-year, $160 million contract offer. Vikings are saying, we don't want to do that. We got J.J. McCarthy. So, Sam, you could walk. Do we really want to hand over a championship team, though, to a rookie who's unproven? I mean, he hasn't played a snap. No. Let's bring in a 1-year guy, Aaron Rodgers. Let JJ sit behind Rodgers, because don't forget, JJ's not even practicing now. He blew out his knee. It's not like he's been able to practice.
Right.
Nothing. You're throwing him ice cold next year. So bring in Aaron. You got the weapons. You're playing indoors. It's a turf field. He obviously knows the division. They would be like the only one that kind of makes a little sense on a 1-year deal. And it would just be funny because that's exactly what Brett Favre did. Exactly what Brett Favre did.
Could you see him being the comeback player of the year next year? Because look what the Vikings were able to do with Sam Darnold. So are we going to see that turnaround of Aaron Rodgers if he goes to the Vikings? That'd be something if they could. It would be the quarterback of the Spurs.
Yeah. Not every guy leaves the Jets and experiences a career rebirth. I know what we have seen from Darnold or Geno Smith or maybe Zach Wilson if he gets a real shot somewhere else. But, look, even Teddy Bridgewater was decent elsewhere. But look, no, it's not. No way. No way. I'm not 100% with you. I'm not convinced that Sam Darnold's not going to be back. They love him in that locker room. Now, I know that's a big price tag, but that team loves Sam Darnold. Now, if they go out and win a championship, which I don't think is going to happen anyway, but if the Vikings do go out and win a Super Bowl, probably makes it that much easier to get rid of him, honestly, because you've won the Super Bowl. Why invest in him? Now we have our next guy, J.J. McCarthy. But if you go out in, let's say they don't get the first round bye, so they play in the wild card round, make it divisional round, lose in the divisional round, you feel like you have the pieces, you're on the cusp, you've made a real run this year, it might actually elevate the chances of bringing back Darnold. But I promise you, with every fiber of my being, that independent of Sam Darnold's future, there is no way they'd sign Aaron Rodgers over just handing over the keys to J.J. McCarthy simply because they wanted to this year. Difference is now he's coming off an injury, but they wanted McCarthy to start this year. And then he goes and gets himself hurt. Anyway, 14-0, the Broncos. Yeah. Put him in Vegas. I'd love to see that. That won't happen, but I'd love to see it. Seahawks have scored again, by the way. It is 13-3, extra point pending in that one. And the Raiders, as Joe mentioned, they are on the board with a touchdown. We'll keep you posted on all the scoring, get you updated when we come on back.
They let the guy run to practice, and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Vlade Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting Above the Rim, only on Sports Grid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
All right, so the Raiders got a touchdown. It was Jacoby Myers who was having himself a monster game. Aiden O'Connell, 4 for 852. I was reading Jimmy Garoppolo's stats. Aiden O'Connell, where is he? Come back to me, guy. He is 8 of 11 for 92. Jacoby Myers, 6 for 86 with that touchdown. Wow. Brock Bowers has 2 targets, does not yet have a catch. Not one. We are sitting 13 minutes to go in the opening half. 10-3, the Raiders are on top. And in that Seahawks game, mentioned incentives or milestones or both all over the place. Entering this game, Geno Smith needed 186 passing yards and a Seattle win for $2 million. Seattle's up 14-3 on the Rams, and Geno is up to 101 passing already. Still about 13 minutes to go in the opening half, and DK Metcalf entered 61 receiving yards shy of 1,000 on the year. 3 catches, 53 yards for him already. So again, Scott Joe, like, guys are aware of this. I can't say it enough times. Guys are fully aware of this, especially in games like this that are completely and totally, Scott, meaningless.
Yeah, and I will say this: Myers was kind of on the periphery. He was one of those guys, 96 yards for 1,000. I don't know if that included any kind of bonus money, but 96 yards for Jacoby Myers is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but he at least he was kind of there, and maybe he gets his, and then maybe they shift their attention to Brock Bowers. Maybe he gets to the second half, and the Chargers wave the white flag, and they can really just take advantage of that and throw it to Myers or throw it to Bowers. But I will say some of these adjusted numbers on Bowers, no receptions here, no yards anyway. 47 and a half now is his yardage total. Yeah, you would think somewhere along the line they're going to throw him the football there, right?
They definitely will have to throw him that football out there. And when we go back to Geno Smith, I also want to note, you guys, he has the opportunity to make another $2 million if his pass completion percentage at the end of this game is at over 69.75. So entering this game, it was 70.2. He needs to keep it right around that 70 mark to be able to make that another $2 million out there. So he has to be careful with these passes. He can't be erratic in them at all, Adam.
It's always something, right? Like even monitoring your completion percentage during a game, that is a wild thing. We've got Denver back in the red zone. Stop me if you've heard this before. Already up 14-0 and at the KC 14, 1st and 10, 8.5 to go in the second quarter. Broncos not screwing around here in this one, needing a win, obviously, to clinch that final wild card spot and playoff spot in the AFC. Now laying 24.5. Joe, you brought it up before. Is this the time that you would hop in on Kansas City?
No, I want to see the full first half here of this game and see how high Denver can take this. I also want to see when they come out in that third, what they're going to do out there. If they're going to be sending everyone out, because yes, they need the win, but at what point do they go, okay, we're guaranteed the win here, and can we rest our starters? Against Kansas City, normally it's never a safe position, but against the backups here, if Kansas City shut off the board in the full first half, I don't know, Scott. What do you think? Do you think at some point Sean Payton says, okay, Knicks, get on the sideline?
No, not with a playoff berth on the line. There's no reason to do that. I do, this was one angle why I like Denver today, even though they were monster favorites. Andy Reid, 5,000 years old. Sean Payton for the Denver Broncos, 5,000 years old. Who does he want to help out? Does Andy Reid want to help out his current, 9-year-old quarterback or head coach? Or does he want to, help out the young whippersnapper Mike McDaniel with the Miami Dolphins? Just one more angle for Kansas City to kind of roll over, right? I'll throw you a bone. You're in our division, great. But I don't think they would ever call them. Listen, if they're up 40-0, yes. But if it's like yesterday's game, right? We saw it with Baltimore, in control really the whole way, but never at that point where it's just like, okay, you know what, Lamar, go take a rest. So unless they got up 5 touchdowns, 5 scores anyway, I think you'll see the Denver players continue to play. I don't know what you're City though. The over/under, they're about to score again. Yeah. This is going to be 21-0 in a minute here. I still like the under. The team total for Kansas City's 8.5. That's like the Cleveland Browns, Joe. Like you and I doing the show yesterday, we were looking at it.
You guys watched that
play? 26.5. So they must
guys, we
watch this touchdown play here.
Breaking news. Well, I see the celebration.
Oh,
yeah, it is
okay.
21-0.
All over the place. This ball bounced back and forth out of so many hands, including Kansas City, and somehow Denver was able to get it in the touchdown. That's effort there.
Was it Mims again?
No, I believe it was Valet.
Bo Nix is yet to throw an incompletion, by the way.
On TV. Devon Valet came up with it.
Wow.
Doing his best Jared Goff impression. We have breaking news, guys. Forget waiting for Black Monday. The Patriots have already fired Gerard Mayo.
Wow. For winning today, no doubt.
It took not even an hour after the game. Now, I fully understand, Mike
Vrabel?
I can't. Welcome to Foxborough, Mike Vrabel, without a doubt. And this was already, speculation for weeks with reports coming out from people in the know that, Vrabel would be interested in the job. He, just last year got honored in Foxborough and got the red jacket, which means he goes into the Patriots Hall of Fame, all that stuff. So, look, New England's always a place that he is loved and revered and wanted to be. And I was surprised he didn't get an interview last year, except for the fact that Robert Kraft, years ago on a trip to Israel and all of this stuff that we heard, handpicked Gerard Mayo as Bill Belichick's successor, and it was written into his deal, basically, that he was going to succeed Belichick, and that's why they never had the interview process. I was shocked that, not that Mayo got the job, but that Vrabel, or others for that matter, just outside perspectives, didn't even get a conversation before Mayo was handed the reins. And Mayo gets a 5-year deal and a boatload of money, and now they're on the hook to pay him. Just looks like a colossal failure of a decision that, look, they've decided to not double down on their mistake. He's out. He is out the door. I don't think it was the last straw today, screwing up the number 1 pick and setting the rebuild back probably another couple of years, not being able to draft and get all those assets with a trade and whatever else. But what you have done now is corrected a mistake in Gerard Mayo. And I would expect that Mike Vrabel is the next guy. We can pick it up on the other side because now it's just after tweet. It's all coming out around New England. We'll be back.
the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Vlade Divac, Carlos Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on Sports Grid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on Sports Grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
So just because I'm shocked that not that this happened, but that it didn't wait a day, I'm not sure it waited an hour that Jerod Mayo lost his job with the Patriots. Back here with Scott and Joe. I'm just going to read you the statement from Chairman and CEO owner Robert Kraft. After the game today, I informed Jerod Mayo that he will not be returning as head coach of the New England Patriots in 2025. For me personally, this was one of the hardest decisions I have ever made. I have known Jerod for 17 years, earned my respect and admiration as a rookie in 2008 throughout his career. Since buying a team, I have always considered myself and my family custodians of a public asset. We have tremendous fans who expect and deserve better, yada, 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 apologies, blah, blah, blah. I'm grateful for Jerod's many contributions to the New England Patriots throughout his career. We'll always be rooting for his success. Wish he and his family nothing but success. This doesn't really say anything. I would expect the whole staff is going to be blown out, Scott and Joe. This is not just Mayo. It's DeMarcus Covington, the defensive coordinator. It's Alex Van Pelt, who Drake May, in fairness, did at least publicly, I don't know about behind the scenes, but publicly seemed to really like. And he does look like a player. And if that success is attributed to Alex Van Pelt, then maybe he should be kept around, if not as OC, as a quarterback's coach or something like that. But this is the first, and we're going to see others coming up tomorrow. There have already been some in season as well, so it's not the first, but first of the now off season. Any surprise, Scott, in any way that it happened so quickly, so emphatically?
Yeah, two things with this. One, like how bad must it have been? Like if you went out of your way to hire him, as clearly the Patriots did, as you talked about, right, Adam? I mean, how bad must it have been for them not to say, all right, listen, we still like you. You want to be our head coach, but you're going to have to change your coaching staff. We're going to have to bring some veteran head coaches. Those guys you rattled off, I don't think any of them were ever a head coach. Let's bring in some veterans to help you, be a better head coach. So it must have been so bad that they didn't even want to do that. Then the other thing, which I really think is kind of funny, if I told you and asked you, what were the two most significant wins in the NFL this season? Believe it or not, the 4-win New England Patriots probably have two of them. Week number 1, you look at the Cincinnati Bengals schedule, right? The Bengals aren't going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Denver's not losing. They're up 21-0, right? You look at that Bengals schedule. You look at who they lost to. You know, what game do you circle that you say, how in the world did they lose to this team? It's the New England Patriots, right? So that's the most significant, win of the season. The second most significant win is the New England Patriots. Today, you cost yourself the number 1 overall pick by winning. So the two kind of like things outside of tonight's Detroit-Minnesota game, that's a lot riding on who wins that. But other than that, you honestly can make the case that the Patriots have the two most significant wins, one a positive, one a negative. So am I surprised ultimately to your question, Adam? No, you know what? You don't want the guy answering all these questions at the podium post-game. What's your future like? There's all kind of buzz about him getting fired. You want to hang him out to dry. They know they're going to fire him, so they might as well bring him. I would have done it like we talked about, and you even said as well, I would have done it before the game. If you know he's going to get fired, you know what? Fire him. Let the interim head coach lose today. Don't do anything stupid. Maybe he got wind that they were going to fire him, and maybe he said, well, screw you. I'm going to win today. I'm going to do everything in my power to win.
For sure.
Because I'm not going to be here. So, you fire
he
him
was smirking on the sidelines after every one of those Joey Sly field goals.
Yes. I said they showed that on TV. He's like smiling, like, okay.
Oh, he knew. He knew he was walking, though. He really did. So yeah. I feel for him.
Dead man's walking.
Family lives, yeah.
It's just that type of thing. I realize this is not like specific to gambling. We'll get back to these games that are happening right now, but it sets your rebuild back multiple years. Not like going down to 4 versus picking at 1, even if you don't make the pick, because they wouldn't make the pick. They don't need the quarterback, but being in the number 1 slot and then being able to trade that for multiple future first, second round picks and just accumulating assets when you are so talent deficient on both sides of the football. Now, maybe you don't draft well and the players don't turn out and it doesn't matter anyway, but at least going into the process with all of this treasure chest of picks and believing that now we are positioned to really rebuild this team. And instead, you just wind up with number 4, and you'll take a lineman or something like that. It's just, it's upsetting. The Jets have taken a lead, by the way.
Yeah.
I think they're locked into 4, I think. But either way, it's... Yeah.
It's not one
Jets have scored a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers got number 500. A little narrative street for you. Number 500 did not go to Devontae Adams, though. Ty Conklin will forever remember this miraculous catch. New York up 7-6 on Miami. And the Rams have scored to cut their deficit to 4.
They let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in a car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Vlade Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on Sports Grid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on Sports Grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
In-game live pro football game day. Tom Vecchio is going to join us a little while later, help us preview what is truly the game of the day, at least on paper. Lions, Vikings, that one in Detroit to determine not only the NFC North, but who gets the first round bye in the NFC, while the Chiefs playing a completely meaningless game today, multiple weeks off, waiting for their first playoff game, getting shellacked as expected by the Denver Broncos. It's 21-0 at the 2-minute warning. Bo Nix, 183 passing. He is 17 of 17, has 3 touchdowns in this one to Sutton, to Mims, to Vele. It has just been really embarrassing for the Chiefs if they cared. Thing is, they don't, and therefore it's not. But Denver is going to coast into that playoff spot. Meanwhile, other games happening right now. The Raiders up 10-6. A little bit of scoring here in this one. Aiden O'Connell, touchdown to Jacoby Myers. Brock Bowers, with 4 minutes to go in the second, still does not have a catch. I promise you, a lot of people today invested in Brock Bowers. Receptions over, which, as Joe said earlier, an inflated line of 7.5. He does not have one, and we're not all that far away from halftime. We'll see what he puts together. Quentin Johnston for Joe's Chargers, 75 receiving. Ladd McConkey, a standout rookie, has 54 in his own right, and Herbert, 143 passing. But again, just field goals so far for L.A. Seahawks have tacked on a field goal. It was a long one from Sanders, 56 yards. They are up 17-10 at the Rams. The touchdown, Jimmy Garoppolo to Tyler Higbee, his first catch of the day for 6 yards that had narrowed the deficit briefly. Geno Smith at 130, passing, 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf has one of them, 53 receiving yards, the other to Jake Bobo earlier. Dolphins now trail the Jets, who have the ball again, by the way. New York is up 7-6, about 4 minutes to go in the opening half. Devontae Adams up to 45 receiving yards, which means he has cleared what he needed to get to 1,000. That was just 25 pregame. And the Niners and Cardinals, it is 10-3 now. Arizona was 3-0 San Francisco early on. Cardinals have bounced back. Kyler Murray, a passing touchdown to Greg Dortch. All that being said, Joe, as you look at the live lines across these games, and the Niners are in the red zone, first and goal at the Arizona 3s, so, threatening to tie the game anyway. Anything jumping out at you?
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I think they're going to get in the end zone on this drive. There's a call. They're just looking at it right now to see if they did cross it. And I think they did, Adam. So I do think we're going to have a tied up game here pending that extra point. And I do think this is one where we looked at that total to the over before, and I still think it should go over that total. Now lines just did lock up. It was 44.5, and I would be looking at it still to go over that. So the books are still showing third and goal right now for the 49ers on the 1 yard line. They're reviewing that play. So we'll see what happens with that one. The Seattle Seahawks up 17-10 though versus the Rams. I think, again, we get some more points. 49.5, Scott. I like that to the over at minus 122.
Yeah, this may turn out to be a real ugly day for you, Joe. I got better or bad news, right? So your Chargers are losing 10-6, right? That's bad enough. Denver's leading Kansas City 21-0, right? The line is 26.5 and 40.5, and here's where the more bad news occurs. Bo Nix is 17 of 17. He's yet to throw a completion. Joe, I'm sure you know. Your boy Phillip Rivers holds the NFL record for most completions to start a game without an incompletion, 25. I don't know if that's on the Broncos, radar at this point. Probably not. But if he gets out of this first half like 20 for 20, because they do have the ball right now, it may just be, more salt on the wounds for your L.A. San Diego Chargers today. But this is embarrassing. I will say that. Let me throw this out to you real quick. This is embarrassing if you're Kansas City. Real proud franchise, right? 16-3 first downs. Denver 16-3 over Kansas City. 34-16 total plays, 254 yards in the first half by Denver. Forget about the Kansas City offense. Only 56 yards in offense for the Kansas City Chiefs. They can't run the ball. They're not throwing the ball. I mean, why just show up? Just petition the NFL and just say, you know what, wave the flag if you're going to put forth a performance like this. This is embarrassing.
They could not begin to care less. Are Mahomes and Kelsey even on the sidelines? Kelsey's probably up in a box with Taylor Swift right now watching this game. They do not. They could not begin to care less what's happening on the field, but none of this matters. I mean, this truly is, you've mentioned it, it's as meaningless as a preseason game. Has no impact on how they're going to play in a couple of weeks. As long as you get on it today.
Though? Where's the personal pride, though, Adam?
What pride?
I know, but you got a bye
Wentz?
week. It's not like you have a game next week. You got the bye. There's no reason for your guys not to be playing at least a half. We saw C.J. Stroud play at least one touchdown series for the Houston Texans today, and they're playing next week, and they were playing for nothing.
You can't risk injury. Look what happened yesterday in a game that did matter, but obviously turned into a lopsided game. But Zay Flowers, he could miss the first playoff game for Baltimore now. You can't. It's the whole reason that we had to have this debate all week about whether or not the Eagles should be playing guys and Saquon Barkley should be chasing Dickerson's rushing record. Should he be playing in Week 18 and no, he's sitting and not even going to be in uniform, all that stuff, because it's championships. Ultimately, that's the driving force. The Chiefs want a three-peat. They're not going to risk it. Even a guy like Xavier Worthy or DeAndre Hopkins, you can't get hurt. You cannot get hurt in this game. I mean, truly, look at the guys who are playing today for Kansas City, who have been targeted thus far. Peyton Hendershot, obviously Justin Watson we know, Noah Gray we know, Carson Steele we've heard of, Samaje Perine, fine, great. The leading receiver with a 23-yard catch is Nico Remigio. Is that a creative player in Madden? This isn't a real person. They don't care at all. It does not matter. Doesn't matter.
They may get shut out today. We looked it up the other day. There's only been one team this season, the New Orleans Saints, that has been shut out. They may not score today. I mean, where's the personal pride? This is not the NBA where you take off. This is the NFL, not for long. You don't get too many opportunities. You can get hurt just as easily as in practice as you can in a game. You get hurt, jumping out of the bathtub, for goodness sakes. I mean, you can always get hurt. You can't walk around being afraid. Now, I'm not going to call quarterback draws and different goofy things like that. And maybe I do sit Mahomes because of his ankle. But all the other guys, I mean, I don't know. If I wanted that, I'd watch the NBA. And I didn't even bet Kansas City. I bet Denver today, and I'm upset about it. Although I wanted the Chiefs to maybe win because of the Dolphins side of things. But
I did bet KC. I wish I hadn't bet KC because it looks just absolutely awful. I mean, the live line right now in a game this is how ugly the books or the algorithm expects it to get. Denver is up by 21 in Denver territory with the ball, laying 28.5.
Wow.
That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Bo Nix just made a great play, you guys. He was running down the field and then just kind of passed it to his side off to Mims, and then Mims took off with it. So these guys they're ready. They're ready for the playoffs, that's for sure. Casey, they're sleeping today. They had a 4-hour delay in the plane home, so right.
That's true. Yeah, let's build in those excuses for Andy Reid and company. Dobbs did rush for a touchdown, so it is a 10-10 game, San Francisco and Arizona, with about 5 minutes to go in the opening half of that one. So we have scoring everywhere, obviously. We got, Miami, and this, I don't know how it'll play out, but this feels like one of those free money bets going into the game, not necessarily right now. How did you not bet the under in this Miami-New York game? And it's 7-6. The Jets are leading at the 2-minute warning. Miami has the ball, Jets territory. So we could see some points before the break. But the live total sitting at 35.5. You guys are, you do your research. You're aware of these numbers, I'm sure. But I'll throw out something that I was reciting to anybody who would listen during the week with respect to the total in this game. Miami 4-1 to the under in games that Tua did not play, averaging 12 points per game. Dolphins have gone under in 8 of the last 9 road games, and the Jets have scored 23 total points in their last 2 games entering today. Under.
We'll be right back. It's time for a Sports Grid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell.
the Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes, the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
We were just talking during the break about this, Gerard Mayo getting fired. Joe asked Scott, who else do you think will be on the way out the door? There are already some interim situations, obviously. Could the Raiders make a change? Antonio Pierce out, who really had won over that locker room a year ago at this time, and seemingly everything unraveled since. Devontae Adams, who was one of his biggest backers, seemed to be a key part of that turnaround. Got himself traded to the Jets, obviously, quitting the team, but you mentioned, Scott, could Mike Vrabel potentially end up with the Raiders? Could Tom Brady, a part owner there, bring in his former teammate and all that? And I wanted to bring up, because I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but it has been a talking point of late. Mike Vrabel, let's see, where is it? Yeah, I don't think, this is not a verified account, but here it is. Mike Vrabel on his Twitter. His official personal Twitter, which is Coach Vrabel 50, changed his avatar, the little logo there, changed his avatar just a couple of days ago to a picture of him in a Patriots uniform playing, like high-fiving Teddy Bruschi from back when they played together. Like if Gerard Mayo and guys weren't insanely aware of this, I just think that, sort of like Bill Belichick felt backstabbed by Gerard Mayo and Robert Kraft lining that thing up years ago and knowing that he was going to be the successor. I think that there's already the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like they have to, I think legally, right? Like the whole equal opportunity, Rooney Rule and everything. Yeah. Like they have to have a process, a quote unquote process. Mike Vrabel is absolutely going to get this job. I'd be shocked if he doesn't. I'd be surprised if they didn't already have some sort of a backdoor handshake that has all but solidified this faction, Scott and Joe.
Yeah, I think so too. There's buzz here in New York about him being interviewed for the Jets opening job, right? I mean, you have, like you said, the Jets got an interim head coach, the Bears, the Saints, so you're gonna have at least 3 more openings right there, on top of maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars, a couple of other teams, maybe the New York Giants. So problem is you could have as many as 6-7 other head coaching openings. So you really have 6 or 7 qualified candidates. Don't know about that, but I would be surprised, too, if Vrabel hasn't talked to Kraft. And maybe even Vrabel said, listen, I'm not going to do anything until you fire the guy, because that's a bad look on me. Played with this guy, my teammate. I'm sure that maybe they were friends even, right? So I think Mayo was there when Vrabel was there, at least maybe in passing. But, I got a feeling it's the old handshake deal behind the scenes as well. So, you got to go through the ritual. You got to go through the Rooney Rule, interview some minorities. But if it ends up not being in New England, I'd be a little surprised.
Anyhow, getting back to these games. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just going to say I'd be shocked too. And then I was going to mention Kyler Murray is caring about this game today. We just saw a nice run out of him, Adam.
Well, he's chasing incentives too. And I don't remember, Scott, you may have it, exactly what is at stake for Kyler Murray. But there's, I think it was like 50 rushing yards and a touchdown or something like that. Yeah, 50 rushing and a touchdown. So where is he right now? Let's see. Let's pull it up. He is just 2 for 15 on the ground with a passing touchdown. But it's a 10-10 game, just past the 2-minute warning. Arizona has the ball. Obviously, neither of these teams going to the playoffs. But we do have some changes. Denver has scored again, although not a touchdown, a field goal. 24-0 at halftime. The Broncos running away with this game. Meanwhile, against your Dolphins, the Jets are back in the red zone. Aaron Rodgers, 134 passing, had the early pick, a touchdown more recently. Jets are already up 7-6 in this game, and just got a touchdown, just like that, with under a minute to go in the opening half. So, while we get you all the specifics on the score and everything, Scott, as someone that, we talked, so. All right, so make it 5-0-1 now for Aaron Rodgers. We talked earlier about, you were emphatically on the Dolphins, your Dolphins coming into this one. So let me ask you, with a half to go, with a game that's, should be at 14-6, as long as they don't mess up the extra point, you can get plus 6.5, maybe even plus 7 out there on Miami. Would you do it?
No, I wouldn't. Knowing that they're going to go into that locker room, and it's going to be impossible for someone to not say, oh, by the way, Denver's leading 21-0, so our season is done. And it is Tyler Huntley. I would be a little concerned. Are we going to see some of the scrubs in there? I mean, you already got Tyler Huntley, right? So how low can you go quarterback-wise? But are you going to see, no A-Chain, no Tyreek Hill? I mean, A-Chain's got monster numbers already, 83 yards. I did like them originally, but it was on thinking that Denver was going to at least be in a game semi-close with Kansas City. I'd probably not. I wouldn't lay the 6.5. I'll say that. I wouldn't do. But would I take 6.5 even? Nah, it's the Dolphins. 2-15 they are straight up with backup quarterbacks on the road. Although they did win last week.
How about this, guys? I don't really know why. But they went for 2 and got it. Breece Hall, 2-point conversion. So 15-6, actually, the Jets are leading this game. It's a 9-point game now.
Yeah, it's an interesting one out there. And the Chargers actually got an interception as well on Aiden O'Connell. So they have the ball back looking to score 10-5 on Las Vegas's 25-yard line with seconds left in this first half. 31 seconds left, Scott.
The Bears did that too today, Adam and Joe. They were up 7. They ended up getting a penalty on the play, which nullified it. So then they went for the 1-point conversion. But they did it also. Second half, they were up 7 and they went for 2. I don't know why you would do that, except that you just want to make sure there's not going to be an overtime. But in this case, the Jets actually converted, so they're up 2. I mean, I get it as far as like strategically, you're going to be up 2 scores. And sometimes I don't have a problem with that at all. Just because it's well worth, going for it. But you don't see it very often. That's kind of weird. So 15-9, Rodgers, we like that prop over 1.5 touchdown passes. We thought he would get it. He got 2, so now you're right. He's at 5.01. So if you just had to play it at 1.5, at least you get that. Going out, maybe a winner. 2 best games this year is going to be against my Dolphins. Unbelievable.
Well, a couple of these games are at halftime, so we'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll look at some player props that are available to you. If anything jumps out on the live market between the Chiefs and Broncos, we're going to have to really be probably pretty delicate with that one. And the Seahawks and Rams. Seattle up 17-13 now. Field goal for LA. That one is at the break. Seattle is laying 7.5. We will return after this in-game live Pro Football Game Day on Sports Grid.
A lot of bowl games. I love all of them. Even if you don't like bowl games, you got to love the Pop-Tarts Bowl and what it means for college football.
Who doesn't get excited for Pop-Tarts? But also, This is one of those where, Ben, I guess you could put your kids through college. Miami doesn't care about bowl games. They don't ever win those. Miami's a favorite. They usually go take the Iowa State Cyclones. Miami doesn't play any defense whatsoever, so you automatically just bang the total.
The Early Line. Only on Sports Grid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on Sports Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on Sports Grid.
All right, back here, in-game live pro football game day. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Remember, if you are watching across Sports Grid TV, all the different FAST apps, or listening, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM Channel 159, we greatly appreciate you. Hang with us. Hopefully make some money. We'll be previewing Sunday Night Football, the Lions, the Vikings, with Tom Vecchio a little bit later on. We've got you for another roughly 2 hours here on the show. Adam Kaufman back with Joe Madden and Scott Wetzel. So, the Niners, who are trailing by a touchdown in Arizona, 2nd and goal at the Arizona 6, about 20 seconds to go in the opening half, so maybe a tie game on the way in that one. The Dolphins, after a good kick return, find themselves in the red zone as well, 2nd and 10 at the Jets 16 off the Jets touchdown, so down 15-6 in that one, and looks like only a second left. Now, Dolphins, did they turn it over with a second to go in the half, or potentially just miss a field goal?
They turned it over.
Where were we?
Pick in the end zone. It was a pick in the end zone. Yeah, another interception. And right now, they're lucky they didn't run it all the way back. The Jets almost got the pick six there. They were running it down the field. Reed had the ball. So nice interception by Reed for the Jets.
All right. Well, that's going to take things to
for Huntley today. Go ahead.
Yeah, that'll take them to the half, trailing by 9 as we had talked about. But we have a couple of games that are already at halftime. Let's look at some live betting opportunities here. Broncos and Chiefs. Again, this is a game that Denver is running away with, up 24-0 in this contest, laying 27.5. A total in this game of 40.5, and that is actually plus money to the under as it stands right now. As far as player props go, I'm looking right here. I'm wondering if anything jumps out to you guys. Joe, I'll start with you because, for one, the books have not given us very many options. There's nothing for Kansas City, at least on FanDuel, and very limited with even Denver. Like there's no Cortland Sutton, for instance. There's Vele and Mims. Mims is at 44 receiving yards. You could take him to 50.5. Vele is at 8 receiving yards. At plus money, you could pick up just a half yard, go to 8.5. The rushing, there's only Jaleel McLaughlin. That's it. So the books are ready for us. They don't want to see us making any more money today.
No, they absolutely don't, Adam. And I wouldn't jump in on anything in this game if you didn't have bets going into it because you've got such a limited selection. The books are hoping that you get in on something, and I'm just not biting. When I look here at the spread, 27.5, I don't want to lay that with Denver, but if I had to go into this game, had to bet something right now, I'd just lay the points with Denver. I think this team continues to dominate in the second half. Maybe KC gets on the board. We're not even getting a bet to bet the shutout here for the Denver Broncos, but it looks like this team has packed it in the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not giving any effort out there, and I expect the Denver Broncos to come out, play a conservative game, run that ball out there, and hold on to this lead. Scott, what are you thinking? And I'm not betting. I'm not laying the 27.5. That's just what I'd do if I had to, Scott.
Yeah, I'd still go with the under. You know, if you follow me, we put the under in before when it was 46.5. And again, you know, that was under the premise that Kansas City might score, 7, maybe 10 points. I don't think they're getting to 10 today. It is funny. They don't offer any Kansas City props. The only Kansas City prop you have is adjusted totals on passing yards for Carson Wentz. But you can't bet the under on that. You could only bet over. And who wants to do that at this point, right? So otherwise, whether it's receiving, rushing, it's nothing but Denver Broncos. So fortunately for today, there's enough other games going on. I would stay away from this one, outside of maybe putting the under in again on 40.5, because I would think, Denver's not going to sub, but I do think they're going to take the wind out of the football. They're going to be doing nothing but running second half, I'd imagine. This will be a fast second half.
Niners did get a touchdown, by the way. It was Josh Dobbs passing scored Ricky Pearsall. So he's playing. Juwan Jennings is out there today. He is at 7 for 52. There were a lot of people that expected Jennings to have a good day because he is one of those 77 yards coming into the day from 1,000 on the year. Well on his way, obviously, to get into that milestone. But, I take it back. I was told Jennings got ejected from this game. So he started well, but apparently he's going to finish short of the milestone. So maybe a little bit more on that when we come back. Certainly a difference maker in a game that is tied at 17 apiece, even though outside of pride, the outcome really doesn't matter. San Francisco chasing a 7th win, whereas Arizona looking for an 8th. There is no 500 on the table anymore with this 17-game season. We're going to step aside. When we come on back next hour, we will get into, obviously, where things stand in these games. We will get into some live betting opportunities in the Seahawks-Rams game at the half, Dolphins-Jets as well.
There's a lot of ball games. I love all of them. Even if you don't like ball games, you gotta love the Pop-Tarts Bowl and what it means for college football.
Who doesn't get excited for Pop-Tarts? But also, this is one of those where, Ben, I guess you could put your kids through college. Miami doesn't care about bowl games. They don't ever win those. Miami's a favorite. They usually go take the Iowa State Cyclones. Miami doesn't play any defense whatsoever, so you automatically just bang the total.
The Early Line. Only on Sports Grid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on Sports Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on Sports Grid.
Ricky Pearsall got that touchdown for the Niners to even up the Cardinals late in the opening half, but Arizona wasn't done yet. A field goal, so it is 20-17. Arizona at the break in that one. Let's dive into that game just a little bit here, Scott and Joe, because we're looking at now Arizona laying 5.5. A total in this one has ballooned 57.5. The live total in this game, obviously with 37 in the opening half, I understand. But in terms of the props available to us on the live market, if you believe that the Niners are going to continue to throw, they are down barely. Josh Dobbs, he is at 191. Needs to get to 281.5, so not even 100 yards away, obviously. Kyler Murray, his live line is over 100. Trey McBride's at 51 receiving. Where's that been all season in the first half when I've needed it? 83.5 is his live number. Marvin Harrison Jr., is at 17, 38.5. We mentioned the Jennings getting tossed. Ricky Pearsall, 36 currently, needs to get to 64.5. That one is noteworthy. And terms of the rushers, not much there. It's just the two Arizona options, those being Michael Carter and Kyler Murray. But I'll let you guys dive in. Scott, you first. Anything that you see in this game that you're drawn to?
Well, I tell you, you know what I would do with both these games? Because these are the two games that have absolutely nothing on the line, all right? At least the Dolphins theoretically are playing to win if Denver were to lose. Chargers, seedings, and same thing with the Kansas City Bronco game. Theoretically, Denver's got to win, which they clearly are doing. So, point being that we saw in the 1 o'clock games, starters in these meaningless games played the first half. A lot of them, they did not play second half. So I would want to see, before I put any bet in second half on Seattle Rams, San Fran, Arizona, I would need to see the first drives of both those offenses for all four of those teams, actually, both games, before I put any over or under. Maybe you take a hunch on the under, because chances are some of these quarterbacks in particular or some of the running backs won't be playing second half. Even if it means they don't get their numbers. You know what? Sorry, we gave you a half. You didn't get your number. Your dopes are getting thrown out of football games left. Who needs that? Let's put the backups in there. So be careful. Just know first, the 1 o'clock games, that did happen a lot. Even with Washington, with Marcus Mariota, when they were playing for seedings, Jaden Daniels came out of the game. So be a little leery. I would wait for the first series of the second half, Joe, before I put any bets in on those two games.
Yeah, completely understand why. If I was to look at anything, it would be the 49ers quarterback out here, Joshua Dobbs, to come out nice and strong in the second half and be able to go over his passing prop of 286.5, because I do think he'll be left in this game. He's at 191 right now. I do think a second interception isn't out of the question by him, though, and it's got something that we always love to jump in on. And Kyler Murray, if we get Kyler Murray back out here, we have to look at how close he is to reaching his incentives. I think we'll get him out here long enough that he could throw that interception as well. So I'll look at both of those quarterbacks for their interceptions, but I love your point, Scott. You just don't know what we're going to get in the second half, and that's why the books are so leery of giving us those props on, KC even in this game, where KC, we know those players that are out there are going to stay out there because they're already on those second stringers, but we could get that turnover. So Joshua Dobbs for the anytime. Second interception, it's coming in at plus 182. And I'll sprinkle a little bit on Kyler Murray at plus 270. Just so much value for him to throw that pick. Do we know, Adam, how close he is to reaching his incentives, if we'll see him long enough to do so?
I believe he needs to get to 50 rushing. He's only at 16. So I'm skeptical.
Yeah. He might not stay in long enough, Scott.
Yeah, and don't forget, he missed portions last year with a major knee injury. So do you really want to have? Right. Listen, listen, Kyler, we want you to get your money. We get that, but you know what? We're paying you $40 million anyway. What's an extra $500,000 versus you calling plays for you to be running the football against a defense that, who knows, maybe there's some headhunter out there that wants to take your knees out again. I mean, it's just. Right. That's where I would get conservative. These meaningless games, okay, with Kansas City. But in this case, you're talking about your future. You're talking about your starters in there maybe getting hurt. So play maybe, but call running plays, draws, and different things like that. I wouldn't take the chance. Again, knowing he's coming off a major knee injury.
Good point.
Now, how about your Chargers, Joe, and the Raiders? It's 17-10 at the break. The Chargers are leading. Herbert, great first half. He had 225 passing yards and a touchdown as well. 118 for Quentin Johnston, 9 receptions for him. Ladd McConkey, 3 for 71. It's been those two guys who have obviously the vast majority of the receiving yards, courtesy of Herbert. His live line is 330.5. Again, sitting at 225 right now. Aiden O'Connell's at just 97. Need to get him all the way to 231.5. I'm not saying he can't get there. I just personally wouldn't want to go there. McConkey, though, he's at 71. His live line is 98.5. I wouldn't even hesitate to invest in that one. Someone like Will Dissly, maybe 28.5. He's sitting at 20 at the moment. And then as far as the rushing props, nothing that jumps out at me. But, Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, the Chargers have to be careful with this one because they're only up one score. They had 3 touchdowns 3 field goals, then a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So this is a team that's entered the red zone so many times, and the Raiders were able to hold them to those field goals on the majority of those trips. And I would be looking at this one to be a situation where the Raiders, this is definitely a team that wants to play upset. They want to come out here and they want to destroy the Chargers' ability to play the Ravens. We know that divisional matchup here, although in the AFC West, we're not seeing that between Kansas City and the Denver Broncos, I do think we're going to see that fight out of the Raiders in this. So I would look at Raider props. I really do think it's weird that we haven't seen Brock Bowers get any receiving yards, right? 0 receiving yards, 37.5 is his number. I still think he's going to be targeted, and that could be one target out there for Brock Bowers to be able to get on the board. Now, Aiden O'Connell's already thrown that interception. To throw another one here, it's plus 118, so it's not as much value, but that just leads me to believe we watched the Chargers on that drive where they got that interception from him. So very close to being able to break away and get the defensive pick 6. So I'm going to go in on the Chargers for the defensive touchdown coming in at plus 1,100. I think the Raiders make some big calls out here, and the Chargers defense can come up big, Scott.
All right. I'm keying on Brock Bowers. That is fascinating. No receptions, only 3 targets. FanDuel, at least here in New York, doesn't offer you a Brock Bowers over-under, but you got to go to Brock Bowers alternate receptions, which again means you can't bet the under. You can only bet the over. So in order to kind of figure it out, the one that's basically pick 'em is 5 receptions. That's what they're giving you. If you go 4 receptions, they just locked it, but it was -2 to 1, and 3 receptions was even -4 to 1. So if you're Malik Neighbors, right, you're watching this thing thinking, I don't got a shot in the world. I only had 5 today. I only got a 1 shot, one catch lead over Brock Bowers. And now you watch the first half, and now you start thinking, wow, he may actually end up with the most receptions for a rookie. He's got a one reception lead over Bowers. But if it was 3, I'd play it, but I'm not laying -420. But I do think the yardage. You're right, Joe. I mean, it's got to be. That's the one where at least they offer you the 35.5. I mean, they're trailing 2. They're going to be throwing the football. I'd be real surprised if he didn't get 36 yards receptions, right? Reception yards in the second half, Adam.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised, but like you said, if you did want to go to 5 receptions, you might want to even wait it out because now when you were talking, it was like plus 106. Now it's almost plus 130 as far as the 5 receptions because second half is underway, minute and a half in. So you could wait this out a little bit. Maybe you can get down to 3 or 4 catches and potentially get to even money there. But yeah, 37.5, 38 yards. I think he gets there. How does he not?
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on Sports Grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
IGL Pro Football Game Day. Chargers in the red zone, folks. 17-10, leading the Raiders in Las Vegas. About 11 minutes to go in the third quarter, pardon me. But LA is first and 10 at the Vegas 16, now laying 13.5 with the expectation that points are on the way. Still halftime, San Francisco and Arizona with the Cardinals on top 20-17. Jets have the ball, leading by 9 at home against the Dolphins in what would be a must-win for Miami, if not for the fact the Broncos are absolutely pummeling the Chiefs. Kansas City trying not to get embarrassed, though. It's 24-0. KC does have the ball, but you know what? As I say that, 4th and 5 at the KC 37, so Denver's about to have the ball right back, obviously. And you're seeing the Broncos lay 27.5 on the live line on FanDuel with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. Meanwhile, the Niners trailing by 3 against the Cardinals, and Arizona with the ball to begin the second half. Actually, they might be kicking off. We'll see. Keep you posted on all of that. But we'll see what the Chargers end up doing and monitor all of these games. The Vikings and the Lions is really the game of Week 18 in general, at least in terms of importance. Now, whether it plays out to be that, we'll see, but really fascinating one, guys, that we'll be previewing quite a bit later. Tom Vecchio is going to join us. We'll give out best bets, favorite plays, all that stuff. Let's at least start right now, just because of the magnitude of this contest versus all these games that really don't matter right now as they sit. The Lions are 2.5-point favorites, seeing an increasing number of people that are betting on the Vikings, despite this thing being in Detroit, a massive total. 56.5 in this game. People are expecting points. This game decides, obviously, not only who wins the NFC North, but who gets the number 1 overall seed in the conference. And, it's just I hope the game lives up to the billing, first and foremost here, Joe. Minnesota, 11-4-1 against the spread. Detroit, 11-5 against the spread. These two teams generally cover. Detroit is an over team. Minnesota, ever so slightly, is an under team. What are your expectations for this game with two teams riding winning streaks coming in?
Yeah, I'm really expecting this one to live up to the hype, Adam. I think we're going to be in for a fantastic Sunday night football game, but I don't think it's going to be that high-scoring affair that everyone's expecting out there. While we have two fantastic quarterbacks on both sides of the ball. There's no denying what Jared Goff is able to do, especially at home in a dome, how deep he's able to throw that ball. And then Sam Darnold has been riding so hot as well. I'm looking at the defenses. I'm looking at both of these defenses to be able to step up in this game. The only way I see this going over the 56.5 is if this game goes to overtime. With this game being so important, though, Adam, I've got to take the overtime bet. That's coming in at plus 1,300 right now. I think we have a back and forth battle. I think we end up seeing a lot of these drives end up being converted into field goals and not the touchdowns. So while I do like the passing props to the over for these quarterbacks, I am nervous about these teams being able to convert in the red zone because of how strong these defenses are going to show up. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I'll take the Lions. I know Minnesota's the best against the spread team this year in the NFL, but a lot of that was at the beginning of the year when, they were a surprise team. So they were being dogs and they were winning. So, but I get it. They're playing great. Detroit's defense stinks. But you want to give me the Lions, who've been the best spread team in the NFL over the last 3 seasons. Jared Goff, most profitable spread quarterback in the NFL last 5 years. And I'm getting them basically a pick 'em at home. I'll take that any day of the week. I do think we're going to get some points. Now, listen, 56.5 is a big number, but Joe, I'll tell you, I'll disagree with you there in that it might not, be a college football 40-35 type of game, but man, that Lions defense is so bad. I can't help but think that Minnesota's going to put 20 plus on the board. Dopey Dan Campbell, he's not kicking any field goals. So, Minnesota might, but Dan Campbell's not. And when the opposing team's offense is probably going to put 20 plus on the board, that leads you to go for it at 4th and 4. Maybe frustrating, but I would go with the over. I see, 30-27 more than I see 20-17 or even 27-20, something along those lines. I think the winning team is going to put 40 on the board tonight, and the losing team is going to be good enough to get that over 56.5.
So do you not necessarily expect a close game? I mean, I know Joe does, talking about, what's the overtime number.
Game.
But
Right. Yeah, I don't know about overtime, but I do expect a close game. Yeah, I think both offenses are good enough. You may see some scoring fluctuations where you're going to get a team that's going to be leading by 2 touchdowns, but the losing team in that situation is never out of it with both offenses being as good as they are. So in the end, I expect it to be a 1-score game, and Minnesota comes out on top of those things, generally speaking. But it's just Detroit's at home. They beat them in Minnesota. I do think the game, though, means more guys to Minnesota than it does Detroit, in that I think Detroit is good enough to go on the road and win 3 straight times as a wild card team. I don't think the same thing about Minnesota. I think Minnesota, if they want to get to the Super Bowl, to me, they got to win. At home field advantage, get the bye, I could see them doing it. Being on the road for 3 games as a wild card team, I don't see that happening for Minnesota.
I agree with the last thing that you said in terms of, Detroit maybe being the better equipped team to go on the road and win versus Minnesota. Where I will push back, though, Joe, is Detroit's got to be thinking like, man, we are so injured right now, especially defensively. Like, we just need a break. We need a week off. I think that makes this win more important for Detroit.
Yeah, it's important for both of these teams. Like, look at what is at stake for both of these teams here. Both want this the playoffs to go through their home. So I think we're going to get the best effort. I'm really thinking 27-25 style game. So still the points, just not enough to push us over the 56.5. So this is going to be a great game out there, you guys. I can hardly wait for kickoff, Scott.
Yeah,
man, not enough to push us over the total. Not enough for team totals either, huh? Of course they will. They absolutely. Look at what Dan Campbell just did. Look at what Campbell did last week.
Campbell,
game that he didn't have to take seriously.
But I could see Minnesota just like, Washington did it. They benched Jay Daniels second half. I mean, we've seen these teams that have playoff spots locked up playing for seed. I mean, I get it, but I just wonder. That's all. Let's hope so.
Maybe if it gets out of hand, if all of a sudden the team is down by 21 points. But so long as it's close, I don't think anyone's getting pulled from this one. Just my feeling anyway. Rams got a field goal. They are down by 1, but Seattle is back in the red zone, so that could change in a hurry. Chargers, 4th and goal at the 1.
We'll be right back. It's time for a Sports Grid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say, listen, he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. Won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
We're just talking about this Sunday night football game and the notion that Scott brought up of Minnesota in particular, maybe not taking this game fully seriously come the second half, guys start sitting, that type of thing. The props for this game, guys, are, I mean, people are going to be betting a lot of overs, I'm sure, with the expectation that we're going to see points. But Scott, if you wanted to be the contrarian to this thing, Sam Darnold's passing yards are 292.5. You've got, let's see, Aaron Jones, that's reasonable, 57.5 in terms of his rushing yards. In terms of the receiving yards, Justin Jefferson, 94.5. Addison, 66.5. Couple of guys that, you know, like they're not quite as ballooned for Detroit. St. Brown is 81.5. Jameson Williams is 60.5. Jared Goff, as far as his passing yardage, 284.5. So for Minnesota, who, again, a lot of people, despite what the odds say, seem to have an expectation that, you know, they're going to win in the Dome there in Detroit, it looks like we see some very inflated numbers. Are you looking toward unders on these, just with the question as to whether Minnesota makes it all the way through?
Yeah, you know, I don't know if I would play an under, but I'll give you another example. Rams, right? They're not playing their starters. They're going to fall to the number 4 seed if I read this right. If they lose today, Tampa Bay, which won, has the better conference record, which I think is the head-to-head tiebreaker since they didn't play each other. At least that's the next tiebreaker. So they would fall to 4. Do they care? Apparently not. So it's not automatic, but obviously there's a lot more on it for Minnesota getting the number 1 seed versus just, you know, a 4 or a 3. Who that cares, right? But it just you throw it out there. You know, if they fall behind, by 3 scores. Whereas I think that's with their offense certainly capable of coming back. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just say, you know what, we got a game next week. We're going to be on the road more than likely, so let's rest our guys. So I don't know if I would bet the under, but I would stay away from the overs with Minnesota players, whereas I think Detroit's going to be all in. I think they absolutely, they want the number 1 seed. Like you said, they're desperate. They want time off, the whole kit and caboodle. They would win the tiebreaker, as far as the situation goes. So I would stay away from the Minnesota props and play Detroit props tonight.
Just to note, you guys.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Denver, another touchdown to Mims. So Mims Jr.'s second receiving touchdown on the day. But yeah, I just want to note here, it's interesting. FanDuel has, we know, limited props in these games. Even in this one, we don't have Sam Darnold or Jared Goff for their longest pass completion. That is where I wanted to look in this game, because we know both of these quarterbacks have that ability. They have the arm strength to get this ball nice and deep, but we're not even getting that here. I do think we're going to see that ball moving for both of these quarterbacks. Their numbers are high, though, so it's hard to bet, but I would lean to both of their props to the over before I took to the under, you guys, in this one, Adam.
No, it makes sense. Just to update everyone on this scoring, too. So Bo Nix is up to 304 passing yards right now. It's not even the end of the third quarter. 4 touchdowns, a damn near perfect passer rating. He has been awesome. Nix is also the leading rusher in the game by a country mile, 7 for 47. Cortland Sutton, 5 for 98 receiving yards. He has crossed the threshold that he needed to get for his incentives, entered this game needing 80-plus yards. Marvin Mims, as Joe said, multiple touchdowns now, 5 for 51. We're just seeing nothing out of the Chiefs. I mean, nothing. Like, even Carson Wentz, who's the backup to Wentz today? He should be asking to come out of this game, pull an Aaron Rodgers and bench himself. 31-0. The Broncos are leading this contest with 2:49 to go in the third quarter. Meanwhile, Chargers have added a field goal. They are up 20-10 in Vegas. The Raiders have the ball, about 5 minutes to go in the third. The Seahawks tacked on another touchdown to go up by 8. Come on. 24-16.
Yeah.
24-16, Seattle is leading now. Geno Smith, a third passing touchdown. He's not quite at the passing yards he needs. He needs 186. He's at 177. Still 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Metcalf, Barner, Bobo, all with touchdowns here in this one, for Seattle. The Jets have the ball, leading by 9 at home against the Dolphins, who continue to be flat anytime Tua is unavailable to them. Mike McDaniel's a guy who should be looking for a job. This dude is a fraudulent head coach. And the Cardinals leading by 3 against the Niners in this contest as well. So we'll continue to keep you posted on all of this stuff. Much more, obviously, on the Sunday Night Football game as well. We've got you for about another hour and a half. I would just like to see something out of Kansas City. Not even because I bet the Chiefs plus 10.5, which has 0 chance of hitting, but just show me a spark. Show me a little something. Chiefs are 1st and 10 into Denver territory at the 45.
We'll be right back. It's time for a Sports Grid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say, listen, he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. Won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
As Scott mentioned, Brock Bowers a catch. I'll do him one better. He added a second. What does that mean? He's nowhere near, obviously, the 9 that he needs, or needed pregame anyway. 7 more to get himself to the all-time tight end record. But with the 2, he did pass Malik Neighbors for, he has 110 catches here in 2024. That is the most receptions by a rookie at any position in NFL history. So just an incredible year. Really, a pretty incredible rookie class, Scott and Joe, I think so far. And we maybe spend more time talking, obviously, about skill position players than we do defensive players. So, right or wrong, I'm going to continue doing that. It's the fantasy and betting impact of it all. But whether it's this QB class, which I think a year in has tons and tons of promise from, going in no particular order, Drake May, obviously Jaden Daniels, I do think Caleb Williams, has shown some things. It's not like he's a bust or anything. And he was, after all, the number 1 overall pick. Bo Nix, who was just balling out again today. Even Michael Penix Jr., the flashes that we have seen in a few games. There's some real skill there. And then you get into, whether it's Bowers or McConkey, Joe, or, some of these running backs like Bucky Irving. Like there's so many names that I'm not even mentioning right now. But I think it's at least so far, looking like this next wave of a lot of great, potentially generational talent we are seeing here in this class.
Oh, absolutely. And especially when we compare it to the talent that came up last year, right? Like, I think this year that we have these rookies in has been absolutely incredible. Like you said, there's so many to throw names out there. And it's like, most of these teams did pick up
Neighbors.
one.
I didn't even mention Neighbors. Sorry.
Yeah. Neighbors for the Giants as well.
Yeah.
But sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
That's okay. Go ahead, Scott.
No, I was going to say, just reiterate that. You look at some drafts and you say, wow, what else a lousy draft. You look at the Sam Darnold draft or some of these other drafts, right? But then you look at this year, you're going to look back and say, wow, that was pretty darn good. You got 2 teams that got franchise quarterbacks. You got wide receivers that are making impacts. Lower draft choices making impacts as well. So this actually turned out to be a pretty good draft. Will next year hopefully be the same? Don't know about that. But one other thing I did want to just kind of reiterate, which I find kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. Unless the Rams have some insights into Jalen Hurts' ability, they don't, they would lose the head-to-head tiebreaker with Tampa Bay. So they would fall with a loss today into the number 4 seed. And clearly they don't care about that because they're not playing their regulars. So chances are pretty good they're going to lose this game. And now they're going to have to face the loser of Minnesota or Detroit in the first round. And then play the Philadelphia Eagles, which would be their next, opponent, versus finishing number 3, and you get to face Washington with a rookie quarterback in the first round. That's it's not over the top. Again, it's not Minnesota win the division, get the number 1 seed, but it is just another example. Like, wouldn't you, if you're a Rams fan, want to finish with the number 3 spot and have to avoid the Minnesota-Detroit loser and then face a team, Philadelphia, in the next round if you were to survive that manhandled you in the regular season? It's just it's one of a gazillion examples, guys, of just these teams don't care. Fans do, absolutely, but teams, players, we're in the postseason. That's all we care about.
Yeah. Very, very true. I was just looking here at Wikipedia too, looking through this draft class from 2024. Marvin Harrison Jr. I know has not been Malik Neighbors, but obviously we've seen flashes of what he's capable of. Joe Alt, I know he's a tackle, boring, right? But dude can play, obviously. Rome Odunze, for Chicago. Obviously, we've seen some of the flashes from him. McConkey, we mentioned before, has been awesome. Brian Thomas Jr. for the Jaguars, can certainly play. Xavier Worthy, I forget about all the time, but he is a rookie He's been awesome. Ricky Pearsall, who got shot in the chest back in August, it is, doing wonderful things for the Niners right now. I mean, this is just like, these are just first, second round guys that I have mentioned. Never mind going down the draft board a little bit, but Jonathan Brooks, we haven't really seen yet, but obviously there's a lot of hype around him. Could be a really, really strong class. I mean, it is
Robinson.
Clearly to this point.
Yeah, Chop Robinson for the Dolphins has 8 sacks. You don't hear about his name too often, but he's had a very good rookie year out of Penn State.
The Jets have tacked on a field goal, so they are now up 18-6 against the Dolphins right now with about 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. And the Rams, this is important to people who bet the LA side, down by 8 to the Seahawks, but are in the red zone. And now, as I say that, scored a touchdown. So it's 24-22, extra point, or you would think 2-point conversion pending with 12:40 to go here in regulation. Let's see who got the score here. It was a Garoppolo passing touchdown, and it was into traffic. There are a million bodies around this dude, whoever caught it. It was Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson scored it for his first of the game, second catch. So 24-22. We'll see if they go for 2, if they get it, obviously. But, I like that. They're making Geno work for his money here in this one. The Rams, this is what everyone hoped or thought the Chiefs were going to be today, that I had no expectation for whatsoever out of the Rams. And yet here they are, with Jimmy Garoppolo, trying to earn himself a job somewhere else next year, putting points on the board with a whole bunch of scrubs around him, like other than Demarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell anyway. It's mostly dudes that, are not regular contributors to this team, getting held out, bubble wrapped for the postseason. And it's the Chiefs who are incredibly flat, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't believe how flat the Kansas City Chiefs have come out. But that was a 2-point conversion attempt by the Rams. They weren't able to get it. So not great to see there for Jimmy G, as this one is a 24-22 game. But, you look at these quarterbacks that have something to prove in this one. I do think looking at Jimmy G for the rest of this game maybe is something we should be doing, you guys, because you're right. He wants to play next season. Jimmy G's not done. He's not an Aaron Rodgers, where I don't think he has lost the love of this game. Aaron Rodgers does look like he's lost that love, you guys, but his passing prop, 272.5. Can he get over that, Scott? It's 223 right now. I still think he has the possibility of doing so.
That's not bad. How about DK Metcalf? Coming into this game, Metcalf needed 61 yards for 1,000. He's just below that now. What's he got? 53 yards. So he's 8 yards shy. Let's see what FanDuel's offering us here on Metcalf. They want to win the game. It's a 2-point game, so they can't fool around too much. But, no one's got a bigger mouth on the sidelines than DK Metcalf. I'll eat my hat if he finishes 8 yards shy of 1,000. So Metcalf, they're giving you 66.5. You're going to have to pay a little premium there. He needs 8, and you're going to need, quick math, 14. But I would take my chances, DK Metcalf. That's where I would go. Give me over 66.5. He's got 53 yards, and the Seahawks have the ball.
Yeah, plus, again, Geno Smith. So you're saying Russell Wilson with Seattle.
Right.
Geno Smith needs to get himself to 186. He's been at 177. You could alt him. God, they're good. Still can't go below 250, and that's at plus money. So his regular line, his baseline at minus 115 is 232.5, and I don't want to invest in that. So I guess he's a stay away spot. But I'm with you on DK. I'd be really surprised if he doesn't get there. Broncos are in the red zone. Stop me if you've heard that before. 2nd and goal at the Kansas City 4, up 31-0 right now. As Joe mentioned, Rams unable to convert on that 2-point conversion, so trailing 24-22. Seattle with the ball. That's early in the fourth quarter. Niners down by 9 at Arizona. The Cardinals they're continuing to lay 4.5 in this one, but this one is getting out of hand in a hurry, potentially anyway, if San Francisco can't answer back. Trey McBride, 6-51 still, though. Hasn't done anything in the third quarter.
We'll be right back. It's time for a Sports Grid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes to the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say, he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
So, spoke too soon maybe about the Niners, right? They scored a touchdown. It was Kyle Juszczyk. So now Arizona is leading 26-24, still laying 4.5 with the expectation, I guess, that a touchdown was coming. Miami has the ball into Jets territory, trailing this one by 12. Chargers are now up comfortably against the Raiders. It is 27-13, and it was Will Dissly with a score. So the Raiders will be getting the ball with 13 minutes and change to go in the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, the Broncos remain in the red zone, laying 37.5. Third and goal at the Kansas City 1. I was just texting with Tom Vecchio, who's going to join us coming up in about 45 minutes to help us look ahead to Sunday Night Football. So we were talking earlier today about expectations for the day, building out some bets, that type of thing. And he was a little bit worried about the Broncos, which I think is why so many people were invested in the Chiefs side of things today. Just didn't really want to include that in anything. And, I texted him like, so about the Broncos? He's like, they just laid down and died today. Didn't want to, deal with the possibility of facing Kansas City or, facing Cincinnati in the postseason, which obviously the way things are trending, if by some miracle that game were playing out differently, that's what would happen. Because again, Miami is not having its way in the Meadowlands with the Jets, obviously, but nothing to worry about if you are a Broncos fan. You're going to the playoffs all but officially. 9:40 to go. It is now 38-0 after a latest touchdown, and this one, I believe, a rushing score from Audric Estime to go along with the 4 TDs, 321 passing yards out of Bo Nix Scott.
Who's still in the game? Oh, by the way, So any thought?
Now's maybe the time you pull him out. Yeah.
Now I would think would be the okay. This dopey game might go over. We said it earlier. I said the only way it's going to go over if Denver puts 40 plus on the board, and that's exactly what might happen here. If you got it at the 46.5, like we were talking about earlier, you still theoretically have a touchdown to give. But 9:40 left to go. I mean, Kansas City, like I said, the offense is bad enough, but their defense has nothing to hold their hat on either. So 38-0. Boy, and I'll tell you the other thing, guys, is normally what we say these are basically preseason exhibition games for a lot of these teams, right? Meaningless games. Point being, and that generally means no scoring today. But, man, nothing but over after over after over. The 1 o'clock games went 6-2 over. Seattle Rams over. San Fran, Arizona over. Raiders, Chargers in the process of going over. They got 40 with the fourth quarter left. Dolphin one might go under, but that was a low number anyway. And we'll see what happens with this Denver-Kansas City thing. But in a week in which we had a bunch of meaningless games, a bunch of backup quarterbacks and everything else, no one's supposedly trying. It's like I say, Joe, and I'm on Saturdays and Friday nights. No one plays defense on Friday, Saturday nights. You always have energy to score. You don't have energy to play defense, and that's playing out today for sure.
Yeah, we're seeing we might have a quarterback change. Aiden O'Connell is down for the Raiders right now, so we'll see what happens out there. But I need Courtland Sutton to stay in this game long enough to get one more reception for my same game parlay to hit, you guys. He's got 5 receptions. I've got him over 5.5 receptions. We were able to get Bo Nix for over his rushing prop of 21.5. He's comfortably at 47. And then Marvin Mims Jr. for his receiving yards over the 36.5. He's at 51. So, Adam, the question is, Courtland Sutton, is he staying in this game and getting another reception? Because at 38-0, I'd be yanking him.
Yeah. I don't see why he would. You know, I don't know obviously what the motivations will be for Sean McVay, or Sean Payton, pardon me, but yeah, I don't know why he would. How are the SGPs going right now for both of you, by the way?
Yeah, mine's dead.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, right. 38-0. I need the Dolphins to come back. I got A-Chain with 50 yards. Rodgers with his touchdown pass. Tyreek Hill's only been throwing the ball 3 times. Boy, he just disappeared this season. Just disappeared. I thought he would get to at least 1,000. I thought that would be a goal of his, but they're not even throwing him the football. It's amazing. And I got the Dolphins +1. So I suppose mine's still alive, Joe, for all intents and purposes. Probably dead, but what about yours?
Well, I got Justin Herbert in the second one because that first one, I'm just waiting on Courtland Sutton for that next reception. I don't think it's going to hit, though. Otherwise, all the other legs have. With the Chargers game, I have Justin Herbert over the 1.5 passing touchdowns. That's come in. Ladd hasn't got that touchdown yet. Either has a Dobbins or a Brock Bowers. So I need all of those touchdowns to come in. Would need a really high-scoring game for them, this one to hit. So that was my long shot. I'm hoping Sutton comes back in the game.
All right, we'll continue to keep an eye on it, obviously, and see if there's any notable changes. I mean, the big thing, there are 2 teams that are in the red zone right now, 2 teams that are in interesting spots. The Cardinals, who are up 26-24, they are in the red zone, 3rd and 12 at the San Francisco 17. Still about 90 seconds to go in the third quarter, so quite a ways. Meanwhile, the Rams, who are down by 2, trying to play spoiler against the Seahawks, they are in the red zone as well, right at the 20, 3rd and 8, with midway through the fourth quarter in that contest. And we do have the Raiders, who are in the red zone, 1st and 10 at the Vegas, at the Chargers 18, with 12 minutes and change left in regulation in this one. So Brock Bowers, see if he can get himself a little bit more involved. Still sitting at just 2 catches for 23 yards, but he has been targeted 5 times, so they're trying just a little bit more as far as getting him the ball. Aiden O'Connell, by the way, I think has left this game, at least for now. Desmond Ridder is in at the moment, 1 for 2 for 11 yards for him. Maybe he can get a touchdown here. But anything as far as, I think we reach a certain point with some of these games, given that it is Week 18, Scott, and these games largely don't matter outcomes-wise for the games that are close. So does betting any of them live at this point make a whole lot of sense to you, or do you just kind of sit on where you were pregame?
Listen, we're getting scoring here, so I wouldn't be afraid to bet the over Seattle-LA. We talked about that earlier when it was 40, so you got yourself a winner there. So I would use that and keep on. They've been going up and down the field, and same thing with San Fran, Arizona. I wouldn't be afraid to bet the over there.
All right, well, field goal for the Rams to go up by 1, 25-24. 1st and goal at the San Francisco 4 for Arizona, with a live total in that game in the mid-60s.
We'll be right back. It's time for a Sports Grid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes, the ankle. Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say, listen, he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Back here with you, in-game live pro football game day. So the Broncos continue to lead 38-0 against the Chiefs mid-fourth. The Seahawks, who again, Geno Smith needs a win today to help him to an additional $2 million. I know there's no playoffs, but these incentives do matter for the Seattle quarterback. Now trailing at the Rams 25-24 after that LA field goal. The Cardinals have just scored a touchdown to make it 32-24, and in this one, that latest score coming for Greg Dortch. He has 2 today, 3 passing touchdowns for Kyler Murray. Again, 32-24 Arizona leading at home against the Niners, now laying 7.5 in this one. Was 4.5 for a while. The Dolphins just scored a touchdown. They're not dead yet. Basically an entire quarter to go. Jets getting the ball back. They are leading 18-13. But as far as Miami goes, great game for Devon Achane. He has 10 carries, 118 yards, along of 61 in that touchdown. Tyler Huntley, no thanks to him. He has not done hardly anything. 2 red zone interceptions, 123 passing yards in this one. Multiple field goals we have seen for Miami as well. But again, 18-13, about 14 minutes to go in regulation in this contest. And the Chargers are taking care of business against the Raiders, up 27-13 and back with the ball. So the Raiders weren't able to do anything when they were in the red zone there, Joe. Anything that's jumping out to you right now?
Yeah, the Chargers were really lucky there. They were able to get Brock Bowers out of the end zone. He caught that ball, 1 foot only, was able to stay in there. So Chargers come away with it and will be driving back down the field. That spread of 14.5, I don't want to touch it. I like what we've seen out of the Raiders, and I do think it's tighter than this number when it comes to the end of the game. I want the Chargers to start playing a more conservative game. We saw a huge run out of Justin Herbert, and my fear is that he'll get hurt out there. That was a couple of drives ago, you guys. So this total of 46.5, I'm expecting the Chargers to try to slow this down. The thing is, I don't know what we're going to get out of the Raiders for scoring. They have the ability to put those points on the board, especially with them held off in that last one. So I'm kind of cautious with this total, 46.5. It's juiced to the over as well. So I don't like laying minus 130 on that total. Do you, Scott?
Yeah, I was more concentrating on San Fran, Arizona. I would take a flyer on San Francisco. You know, you get 7.5. They're down 9. Arizona just scored, so you're going to get the football back. You got the entire fourth quarter, and clearly they've shown they can move the ball, so they're good for an by-the-way touchdown. This thing is far from over. You got the Dobbs. It's today. You know, this is the great Joshua Dobbs. He's thrown for 254. This is why he's still in an NFL uniform. Right, he's thrown for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. They've run the ball for over 100 yards. Like I said, there's no reason why they can't, get an by-the-way score. And Juwan Jennings needs 77 yards. He's at 52 to reach 1,000 yards. Don't know if that brings any more money his way, but it is a goal, so you want to take a peek at some of his props. But I like the 7.5 with San Francisco right now because, like I said, you got the entire fourth quarter, and they've shown they can move the ball. Even a field goal would get you the cover.
Just looking to see, again, 33-24 now for Arizona with that extra point. And, I mean, it's all but over for Denver and Kansas City. Some of these other games, I mean, basically everything else, other than maybe the Chargers and the Raiders, still in the mix as far as, which way things will pan out. As far as in-game stat chasing, we've talked about Brock Bowers a lot. We've talked about the Seattle guys, Metcalf, Geno Smith. Let's see, did Metcalf get there yet, by the way? No, 3 for 53.
No.
So Geno, could be looking in his direction. He is just about at what he needed, by the way. 186 is where he sits, and I think that might have even been the number, actually. Let me pull it up. Geno, 186 on the nose. Yeah, although he needs the win as well. Now he's at 196. But that did not go to Geno. Noah Fant, A.J. Barner, these guys have been pretty involved. But still need, Geno Smith or DK Metcalf still needs 8 receiving yards, as we talked about earlier with Seattle with the ball and moving things down to the L.A. 35. So potentially some points coming here for the Seahawks as this one is coming down the wire. Is Seattle minus 2.5 at plus 134? Of any interest to you guys, knowing obviously that Seattle would need a touchdown here, not a field goal?
Yeah, I would pass just because, right, chances are they kick the field goal, they win by 2, and you lose your bet, Joe.
Yeah, right. But we've got enough time for the Rams to get the ball back. I'm looking at that 55.5 plus 122 to the over. Sign me up.
There you go. Touchdown would get you there too. Just something to keep in mind. We'll be back with more.